My timer is set to 0 minutes and 0 seconds, and it will be counting up momentarily. The best letter to write is lowercase f. Capital G's are hard. I like lowercase f and lowercase k. Want to hear a trick my teacher, Miss Emma, taught us? Lowercase k actually looks like a kangaroo. Look, this is the mommy's body, and this is the baby in her pouch. She's a marsupial, and these are her long feet that help her jump, and this is her big, long tail. Let's draw a hat on her, like Papa's. My mama wears a bonnet, like this. And this is my sister Anna. She has long hair the color of corn, and pink fingernails, and stinky feet, and pretty pink lips. These are the ties on her wrists and feet, and the bullet. TV sucks. I mean, really, it sucks. The news is the worst. This just in. Man enters Amish schoolhouse and opens fire. The boys and I don't watch TV anymore. In the Amish community of Nickel Mines, Pennsylvania, a resident of the surrounding area went into the one-room schoolhouse and murdered 8 girls aged 6 to 13 before turning the gun on himself. The small community of Amish and local citizens alike struggle to understand and cope with the tragedy, including the shooter's wife, Carol. Racked with guilt and shame, Carol must reconcile her confusion at her husband's iniquitous actions and the person that she thought he was. What are you supposed to do when the evil not only hits close to home, but comes from within it? This is The Amish Project by Jessica Dickey. I was in the grocery store this morning trying to find a moisturizer with SPF or whatever. And it occurred to me for the first time that no one ever tells you that even when you're mourning, you still worry about wrinkles. So, now you know. So I'm reading the labels about UVA and UVB and wham! Just like that. I think just because it's written on a label doesn't mean that it's true. And I'm standing there in the hygiene aisle, suddenly aware of the thousands of promises all around me, and I think that this is bullshit. What happens to a person when you live in a world where you can't believe anything and the things you don't want to believe are actually true? This just in. Widow of crazed schoolhouse gunman buys a lotion with SPF. Now, Carol Stuckey, why did you choose to lotion with SPF? Well, Craig, I realized if I'd taken better care of my skin, maybe my husband wouldn't have shot little Amish girls. I was in my basement walking on our treadmill and watching the news. The headline read, "Man enters Amish schoolhouse and opens fire." They kept showing these images over and over again. A bird's eye view, Amish families gathering in a green field, the white schoolhouse, bodies covered in sheets. He was the local milkman. He shot him and then shot himself. Death toll at 6. What kind of a sicko could do this? If everyone wants to grab their coffee and settle in. You're probably wondering who the heck I am. Well, my name is Bill North. I'm a professor of American religion at the local university, teaching Amish culture for over 25 years. And I'm a friend of Aaron Yoder and many of the other Amish families here. Aaron asked me to speak for them here today about their ways. I've spent a lot of time with Aaron's family. I've known both of his daughters, Anna and Velda, since they were born. Both exceptional little girls. Anna often talked of becoming a teacher, and Velda was so delightfully precocious. Some woman came up next to me in the grocery store, put her cart next to mine and said, "If you were a decent wife, those poor girls would be alive today. There is a fresh hell where you'll join your sicko husband." And for some reason, I laughed. Oh, I ran to the parking lot, but in the moment, I laughed. You do things like that when you're losing your mind. This is the man. Man enters Amish schoolhouse. This is his gun. There is a fresh hell where you'll join your sicko husband. I'm sure she's right. And opens fire. He came into the school while Miss Emma was preparing the blackboard for a spelling exercise. This is his hat. He barricades the front door. Anna is looking at the man. But I want her to look at me. I start praying to God, trying to feel how God would want me to behave. Sir, please shoot me first. He wrote, Dear Carol, I'm sorry that I won't see the boys grow up. You're a good mother, and I know it will be hard for you now. Please try to forgive me. Tell the boys that I love them. Tell them I wasn't all bad. He never did write that well. When I got back from the store, the Amish were at my house. I was shocked to see them. I mean, they were here, spent all morning with me. It's hard to recall exactly. There's only one I really remember. I'm assuming you were all by and large strangers to the area. So first of all, you need to understand this. Most people think that Amish is just Amish, that they're all alike. But see, that's not exactly true. But all Amish do have a basic code of living, which they call the ordnung, summed up by the Dutch word "ufgeva," to give up. The Amish give up their individual needs to the community. And they don't normally accept charity, but Erin has told me that they intend to use the donations for all the victims, including the gunman's widow and her 2 children. Many have been asking, how could the Amish forgive such a thing? His name was Aaron. I sat looking at him. What he and his wife must have been through. What his little girls must have been through. I asked him how they all were, how his little girls were. And he looked at me and said, we must trust in God now. Is that right? Trust in God? If your God was so fucking great, then where was he? Where was your God when my husband took 3 guns and plastic ties and drove over to Stoltz Road? This is Anna's best friend, Marion. You would think if you're a lowly sack of crap, it'd be great to have an angel sit in your living room. Not so much. I wanted to rip my skin off. And then, right then, he looks at me. He looks right at me, and there, in the middle of his eyebrows, is a word. One word. This is my best friend, Emma. She has red hair, and she can hold her breath a long time. Margaret, she has the weirdest teeth. And he pushes that word into my brain. Ufgeva, to give up. This is Catherine. She's a great singer. Let's see. Elizabeth, she talks all the time. And her little sister Mary, who never talks at all. That word repeats itself over and over in my mind. This is Dottie. She snorts when she laughs. And then there's little Esther and me. Last night I saw Eddie standing out on the lawn right where the grass meets the road. I couldn't see his face, of course. It was too dark, but I knew it was him. I look at him, and there it is. That word. I sent it to Eddie. Just stare at him and repeat it over and over, sort of begging him, sort of reassuring him, until eventually I see him fade into the night. Until he's gone. This is Anna, with her pretty pink lips. The first thing I see is flowers. Flowers in the bright day yard behind our house. Then suddenly I'm in the kitchen with my mama. She's sewing, and she's humming. Mama only hums when she doesn't know you're there, but she has a nice voice. She's sewing the final squares on a quilt, maybe for the new baby in the Zook family. I reach out to touch her and she gasps. Then suddenly I'm in the fields again, over and beyond the hill. I feel so light, like I meant to fly to the moon. Thank you. My timer is stopped at 10 minutes and 23 seconds.